My generation, there was very few people going into that field. In the College of Art in Dublin, where I graduated from, the emphasis was on hand-blown glass and fire glass. It was seen as a dead craft, really. And there was one or two people like myself who really just wanted to continue working in that area, and we, through our own funding and our own travelling, that we picked up the skills abroad to continue the craft, which is a shame because Ireland has a strong tradition of stained glass since Torlina, and now I think it's been regenerated because there's a lot of interest now in Harry Clark. There's a lot of interest now in Wilhelmina Geddes as well. But there's an awful lot of other artists out there who produce beautiful work, and they have been forgotten. So I'd like to think I'm carrying on the skills and the trade, and I hope to pass it on to future generations, what I've learned down through the years.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. Wonder this time.
As a child growing up, I guess like most children growing up in a fairly religious family, we went to Mass every day. So I was lucky in the parish that I grew up in, which is St. Patrick's Parish in Kilkenny. There was some beautiful stained glass windows by mayors of Munich, and I was just transfixed by them as a child and in the stories that the windows were depicting. And I think from that age, I just, as a child, I knew I was going to be an artist, but I didn't really know I was going to work in glass till later in life. But I think that was my major inspiration at that age, were the windows because where I grew up, there wouldn't have been a lot of art. We didn't have art in the family. And I suppose my first contact with any form of art was in the church, where there was decoration by Italian artists and stained glass windows by mayors of Munich. Most windows would tell a story, because when stained glass was done in medieval churches, a lot of the parishioners or people at the time couldn't read or write, and the purpose of the stained glass windows, apart from closing in the gaps with light and bringing atmosphere and colour into a church, was also to tell a story, so that the people who couldn't read Bibles, and don't forget there wasn't many books out at the time either, so people didn't have books or prayer books, so they looked to the windows to read a story or the passages from the Bible, and that's why a lot of windows would tell a story. There's a narrative running down through the images, whereas a more simple window, you're just depending on really shape and maybe more abstract designs. Sometimes you have to write, you have to do a bit of poetry or a bit of passages from the Bible to go with your images as well.
Artists frequently slip a self-portrait into their work. Have you ever done this?
All the time, yes, all the time. The one in Kilkenny, St. Fecre Church, that's actually a self-portrait of me at the time. I also like to include my animals, my pets, in all the windows. You will find there's a lot of dogs portrayed in the windows, and they're usually one of my pets at the time. Always end up being in one of the windows. Well, a lot of the work I do, I'm working to a brief from the client. It could be either a parish committee, or it could be a priest, or it could be a bishop, or it could be a private client in a restaurant. Or it could be a residential house, and you really have to work to their briefs. So yeah, I will be working to a script. The type of stained glass I do is very traditional. It's very much working to the medieval technique, whereas painting and drawing has advanced in using modern technology. Now, there is a lot of contemporary glass artists who are using technology, and they are using modern techniques, and they do show in a lot of the galleries. But my style of glass is using traditional techniques, which goes back to medieval times. It's more of a craft, really, the techniques that I use. I was asked to design a window for a school in the west of Ireland, in Mayo, and again, it was a difficult project because it was an internal door going into a chapel in a boys' school, a very well-known boys' school. And again, they wanted the window to commemorate the local saint, which is the name of the school. And the theme that the principal of the school requested was leadership. He wanted the saint to show leadership. The image, whatever I came up with, needed to show leadership. So again, I wanted to bring a modern twist to it, and I wanted to try and capture that sense of strength and leadership. So I started doing some research, and I came up with the Connacht rugby team. And there was a series of images of the captain of the rugby team, Paul Muldowney. So I incorporated him into the window as Saint Murdoch, leading the other saints of the time. And I also brought in the cathedral in Ballina, the River Shannon that flows by the school, and I brought in the preaching of saints travelling abroad to other destinations. These ones here were the design proposals I put forward for the rejuvenation window, and they were designed while I was living down in Greece, so you can see the brightness of the blues and the colours. And this is actually the window that was chosen.
God. Welcome to St. Mary's Church in Claheen, South Tipperary. We are very proud of our most recent stained glass window, and it is depicting aspects of the life of Father Nicholas Sheehy, who was martyred in the year 1766, in this month of March actually, 250 years ago. So we wanted to honour him with a permanency of his life. And of course, stained glass windows are stories, and they tell it all. And when the artist is as wonderful as Pat Muldowney is, and this is his creation, we'll introduce you to the window.
The unspoken voice of the downtrodden, which would have been the Catholic people at the time, and this is what these windows represent. These were more or less meant to be to be Father Sheehy, And these sections here was going to be clear glass so that the outside light, the outside images outside of the sky moving by, or the vegetation of trees would be seen through that. And it was to bring in the outside into the church. These here was to represent all the different unspoken voices. And this is the one we actually went with in the end, a smaller version of that. And you'll see that when you go down.
So I walked into the haze and a million dirty waves. Now I see you lying there like a lilo losing it. Black rocks and shoreline surf, still dead summer I cannot bear.
I think light is really important, particularly sunlight and daylight, so it's very important where the windows are situated within a space. Also, it's important to get reflections of the light and the colours, and to get it to sparkle. The type of glass I use is antique glass, which is hand-blown glass into big shapes, big rolls of glass, which are then flattened out and is full of imperfections, full of little sparkles. And when the light hits it, it glitters like jewels. Harry Clark, this is one of the things Harry Clark adored. And the colours that really reflect this best is the deep blues, the deep reds, and they really need strong, intense light behind it. So that's why I do think sunlight and facing the church, or the windows facing in this position, facing the right way, is very important. It's a specialist minority, so that's why I suppose I've been successful, is that there hasn't been a lot of people out there who can actually take on the work and take on the projects. As regards Harry Clark, he was a genius in what he did, and I wouldn't for 1 minute even like to compare myself to him, but I was very much inspired by him, and I continue to be. Yeah, I overheard a group of people standing in front of the window, and I stood back to listen to overhear what they were saying. And one was saying, "What do you think that window is about? What do you think that window symbolises? I don't really get it." And but I was pleased to see it was getting people to talk about the window. But the general consensus was they really liked it, and they really were impressed by the colours and the light. And after they had finished talking about it, I actually went up to them and said to them, "Well, actually, I'm the artist." And they were delighted, and they said to me, "Well, what do you think it's about? Can you tell us what it's about?" So I said to them, "It's what you see in the windows, what interpretation you get from it. I just tried to create an atmosphere within the building with the colours, and the theme of the windows rejuvenates. So that really worked very well. So it's great to get feedback like that, and you feel job well done."